Hi, this is Torin Talks, and today we're going to be talking about Jessica Jones. I was really excited to get into Jessica Jones. Ever since I saw the trailer, I was really intrigued. I knew about the character already from her backstory in the comics, so I'll tell you a little about that before I go into my review of the series, because I binge watched the whole thing, and just give you a little background info on her comic book counterpart. So Jessica Jones in the comics is this girl who gets powers after an accident, and she tries to be like a superhero, and it doesn't really work out for her. Ends up becoming a slave to this guy, Kilgrave, that can control minds. She kind of gets her ass kicked by the Avengers, and nobody even notices that she's missing for a long time. And when she comes back after she gets into it with the Avengers and they like kick her ass, and then Jean Grey puts like a psychic shield in her mind so no one can control her, but she's pretty traumatized after that whole ordeal and becomes a private investigator, and she has a whole deal with Luke Cage, and that's pretty much her story. So I was really excited about the tone that Marvel was taking with her story in relation to like Daredevil and this more Netflix grittier MCU than we're used to seeing with the Avengers or even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because that's also a TV show that's set in the MCU. These shows on Netflix definitely have a darker tone, and Jessica Jones has an even darker tone than Daredevil, and if you saw that show, you know, it's pretty dark. So I was super excited about that for this show. It has a very noir feel, which is something that really appeals to me. I love noir, and Jessica Jones definitely did not disappoint. The show has amazing chemistry. That was the first thing that I noticed, that the cast is really well chosen, and I believe that these people would talk. You know what I mean? Like some shows, it's like, oh, those two people would never like talk or be in the same situation or just none of that. But every relationship genuinely feels real and authentic, and I like that about the show. Jessica herself, played by Krysten Ritter, is amazing. She is definitely the kind of female hero that I love to see on screen, and she kind of reminds me in a weird way of like Xena or Buffy or someone like that, because those characters were very strong, like powerful women figures, and they could like, you know, kick your ass all over the place, but they were very much dealing with these interpersonal issues that kind of gave them a layer. They just weren't some bruiser going around punching people out. You know, they were very flawed and had these character things that they were dealing with, these insecurities and all of these things where they didn't know whether or not they were being the right kind of hero. And it's funny because that was pretty much a lot of the early Xena in that show. She struggled with, you know, she was bad and then now she's good, and are people really going to accept her as being a good person now, and can she even be a good person now after doing all this gnarly shit? And I think that's kind of the struggle that Jessica Jones has as well. It's like she did terrible things when she wasn't in control, and can she really forgive herself for those things? Even if she wasn't in control, she still did it, and you can't like erase what happened. And it's all these different struggles that I feel like a lot of women have to go through, such as like identity and what makes you feel like empowered and what makes you feel good about yourself, and what do you really bring to the table? What do you have to offer? And I think that Jessica Jones just shows the struggle of people coming back from horrible, horrible trauma. Her PTSD, dealing with the whole situation, and also being a victim of sexual abuse. She's dealing with that. So, you know, she has PTSD from all these terrible things in an accident in her life. And then you have, on top of that, she's dealing with survivor's guilt, PTSD, all these things, and it just makes for really good viewing because you get to see inside this character and see all of her flaws. And Krysten Ritter plays her very open and honest. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but the character to me is like, you can see that she's just like a bag of hot mess, but like underneath all that, you kind of see the good stuff too. So even though like when a lot of people meet her, they're like, this chick. But underneath all of that exterior and sarcasm and gruffness and, you know, toughness, there is very much a person that cares so much. And I feel like that's why she kind of has that exterior, because she does really care about people. And I can definitely relate to that. So this show was just really great. To get into the storyline without spoiling too much, we're basically in her life post trying to be a superhero and post being kidnapped for a while, because there's a mind control guy and he basically keeps you against your will. So she's post all that, and now she's a PI, and then she gets a case that takes her, you know, it comes full circle, and she has to deal with all these traumas that she's been running away from. The question of identity and who we are and who we are in the shadows is another big theme in the show. A lot of people have a lot of duality going on, because you have Jessica and then her superhero alter ego. You have her friend Patsy, who was a child star, now she's trying to be a serious adult. Even the villain Kilgrave, you know, you find out that he's not really who he says he is. So everybody's putting on these personas to try to get over trauma, which I thought was really interesting, because as much as the characters think that they're different from each other, in some ways they're not really that much different. Kind of similar to the conundrum that Daredevil and Wilson Fisk have in his series, where they both are doing the same thing. They're going outside the law to make the city a better place in their mind. So, you know, it's like, okay, Daredevil kind of has the moral high ground, but not really. It varies. And the same thing happens here, because, you know, she doesn't want to kill someone, but if this person's running around hurting a bunch of people, where do you draw the line? And how many people have to suffer because you won't do something about it, and you have the power to do something about it? And I think that's just such an interesting mix of things. One of the things I can say that I hope changes with the Netflix series is that they're not really interrelated to the films or what's going on in the MCU. They touch on it, like they talk about them here and there, but not really. They never say like, oh yeah, Thor or Iron Man. They just always say like, oh, the big green guy, or, you know, it's very aloof. And I don't know if that's because they don't want to get in trouble, but I feel like if this is supposed to be a shared universe, then they need to share the universe. And also too, there wasn't a lot of intermingling between Daredevil and Jessica Jones's kind of either character situations. I was even hoping to see, like, maybe on TV it would be showing like some of the Wilson Fisk stuff during Jessica Jones, but it really didn't. So that was weird to me. Also, you see one crossover character from Daredevil, but that character kind of messed up the little timeline that I thought they had, because I was like, okay, maybe Jessica Jones is pre-Daredevil or post-Daredevil, so then you can be like, okay, that happened before and then this happened, that's why they don't really mention it. But a character comes that kind of shatters that, and you learn that they're happening concurrently, and so it's kind of like, okay, if these things are happening at the same time, why is there no mention of the other? And so that's a little wonky, but I mean, they have a chance to fix it in the second season of Daredevil. They can, you know, talk about at least something, you know. So I thought that was odd that there wasn't very much crossover between the events, even if the characters didn't show up, events that were happening in the Daredevil series affecting or even being mentioned in Jessica Jones. So I don't know what's up with that, but hopefully it'll be different in the show's coming. They handled the storyline overall very well, and the main storyline of the first season is, like I said, dealing with trauma, survivor's guilt, and also it was very powerful in terms of fears for women, such as being raped and, you know, being held against your will, or someone forcing you to do something. Those are things that came up a lot, and I thought they were handled really well. Another one that was really interesting was, in this world, you know, since the events of Avengers 1 and 2 and Captain America, and of the Thor movie as well. You know, people are aware of what's going on. People are aware that there's aliens and people with all these weird powers and can do things and can, you know, turn to a big green rage monster. And it's starting to cause some discord between normal people and people with, you know, that are gifted, as they call it, in the Jessica Jones and Daredevil series. So you're starting to see that friction that's happening. You're also starting to see the effects of these events on the other people. So, you know, when you have big green aliens in the sky and, you know, all this stuff going on, you're not really paying attention to the criminal over here, you know, snatching things, because you're focused on something else. And that is why all these people are kind of coming out of the woodwork, because there's kind of like a breeding ground for them now. The Purple Man Kilgrave's abilities are very interesting as well, because it kind of makes you question, if a person can control you, where do you draw the line at you? You can lose very much a sense of self and identity, and that's a real hard thing to tackle, but I think they did it really well. I loved the kind of romance between her and Luke Cage. It didn't feel like forced, and it didn't feel fake. It felt like this girl and that guy would be drawn to each other because they're both kind of these broken birds. So I really see that that was a good cast, and they have a lot of chemistry. So I'm glad that relationship played out really nice. So I won't really get into too much plot, because I feel like you should go watch it. Go watch this show. It is great. If you like Daredevil, I feel like you will like Jessica Jones. This show really, like, I'm gonna watch the whole series again because it really resonated with me, this character and the things that she goes through and how she handles situations and just her overall personality. She's just a mess, and she knows she's a mess, but she's trying really hard to kind of get it together. And those are the type of characters that I always love, and I fully recommend watching Jessica Jones. You will not regret it. It is very, very dark. It's a little brutal, so if those are things that you're not cool with, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you are, then I would say this show is a definite must watch for you. And so that is the end of my Jessica Jones review. Don't forget to like this video if you like it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Comment. I just sit around waiting for people to talk to me, and they haven't. So yeah, do that. People talk to me. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest. If you're on there, I'm on there, and all of that is Torin Chaos. So I'll have some links for that around here. And I just want to say that the Star Wars videos are coming along very great. The first one should be out really soon. I can't give a date for that just yet, but I do know there's going to be at least 3 of them for sure. So just stay tuned for those, because those are going to be awesome, and I'm really looking forward to sharing all the hard work that I've been doing with you guys, and so you can enjoy them before the new movie comes out. That's my goal, to get them out before the new movie is out. So yeah, that's the plan. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.